I'm going to show you how to set up a Dubia Roach breeding colony. You're going to learn absolutely everything you need to know so that you can start breeding your own Dubia Roaches. Welcome back to Northern Exotics, guys. We're a pet YouTube channel that absolutely loves to educate people on all aspects of keeping exotic animals. We talk all things exotic animals. If that's something you're interested in, please consider subscribing. So why breed your own Dubia Roaches? I do it, and the reasons I do it is because Dubia Roaches are one of the best live food sources for your exotic animals. All the animals that I keep that are all insectivores absolutely love Dubia Roaches. They're one of the healthiest live food that you can offer your animal. Now, again, I'll always say it's always good to have a variety of diet for them, so don't feed Dubia Roaches all the time, but I love Dubia Roaches because they are extremely healthy. This is how I breed them. Now, we're going to run through the entire enclosure, the heat, all the knowledge and tips you need to know for you to set up your own Dubia Roach colony. And we're going to do it financially viable for you, so it's not going to cost you a whole lot of money to set it up and to run this entire colony. If you want to learn how to breed Dubia Roaches, just click on this little card that's up in one of these two top corners. That'll take you straight through to the video. Let's run through what you're going to need. You're going to need a tub, a container, smooth plastic container. It is better if you do get a darker one, not like this clear one. The Dubia Roaches prefer a much darker environment to be in, and that's where you get the majority of your production. The most production is made in a darker enclosure. You are going to need egg crate. This is just egg crate that you store eggs in. Nothing special. Top tip: if you want to get a load of these, they are extremely expensive online for what they are. Go to your local cafe. They're always chucking these in the bin. Ask them, have you got any egg crates available? They always have some. You may need to go back at the end of the day to collect them, but they've always got some and they're always free. Top tip. Next, you're going to need some food. Now here we have, basically that is called roach chow. It's the majority ground up dog biscuits, so you can just chuck dog biscuits inside the enclosure for them to feed on. I like to ground it up and add a few of the little essentials in there, a little bit of bee pollen, some wheat, some oats, that sort of thing. Dog biscuits, you can feed salads, a great form of fibre for them. They do need a high fibre diet. The next thing you're going to need is something for them to drink. You cannot add water into the enclosure simply because they have a possibility of drowning. You can get this sort of stuff, which is water crystals. It's just water crystals that looks like a gel, or you can do an orange. Orange is an extremely good source of water for them. It's a good drink for them. Cut it up, chuck it in. The citrus in there makes them a little bit rowdy. Ooh. And they can get the dance with no pants and all that sort of stuff. Supposedly, I don't know what the science is in that, but just a general orange, chop it up, put it in there. That's a good drink for them. If you are learning anything on this video, please hit that thumbs up button, guys. It really does help. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is set it up. Let's do that. So you have your tub ready to go. You get your egg crates and you figure out which way you want to put them. I like to put the shortest ones at the back. As you can tell, these are extremely old. These are around about 8 months old, so it does show you how long they do last. And you just stack them up together, just like that. Nice and easy. Now make sure that they can be tucked in. They love to go inside those areas, and those areas are the dark areas that they love to go to. They feel more comfortable when it's dark, and they produce better when it's dark. So a load of egg crates is absolutely perfect. The next thing to go in is their food. I'm using the roach chow that I made in a deli cup that I've cut that side out right the way down to the bottom so that they can easily scurry in and do it, and it keeps it nice, clean and tidy. That goes in the back corner. The next one is exactly the same with the bug gel. Straight in the corner. Sorted. Now Dubia Roaches do extremely well with additional heat, so it's always good to do additional heat. Just like your reptiles, you have a hot side, a cold side. These Dubia Roaches are cold-blooded, So they have to thermoregulate their own body temperature exactly the same as your reptile would. So the idea of having the vertically stacked egg crates is because we're going to put some heat at the bottom. I'll show you that way to get free heat shortly, but there's heat at the bottom. If they get a bit too warm, they can scurry up in all the little dark channels that are in there and come further up to the top, and then they'll get a bit cooler. If they want a bit warmer, they'll scurry all the way back down to the bottom again. It's also the same with the females. Now females give birth. They don't lay eggs, they give birth to live babies, and they're all in like a little egg sac, and all the babies are in there. As soon as they hatch, they all come breaking out and stuff like that. Now the female needs to keep those babies healthy, and the way they do that is with the heat and a good diet, but the heat, so they have to thermoregulate not only themselves but the babies as well, and it's extremely fascinating to see them do it. Occasionally you'll see the females stick out a little white tube out of their bums. Well, that's the egg sac, and they're just airing it out, getting a bit of fresh air on the babies. It really is fascinating to see them do it. But we'll run through the different sexes of the roaches a little bit later. Let's talk heat. Now, you can add a heat mat under one side of this enclosure. As you can tell, I've stacked all of the egg crates up on one side. So I'll put a heat mat under that side. Or, if you want a free alternative to heat, use kinetic heat, I think it's called. Heat that's already there, it's just waste. That's where he comes into play. So there's Diego, our bearded dragon. Now currently it's extremely warm in the UK, which is where I am. So the heat bulb, the dimming switch has knocked that bulb off. But that is the hot side of his enclosure. Now you can see his bulb just there. Now when it turns on, it blasts the heat down to there, but heat rises. So it also goes up, heating up this top end of that enclosure. So I'll use that end of the enclosure instead of a heat mat. I'll put the entire tub right on top, just like this. Perfect. So there we go. There's his heat bulb. The heat rises as well as goes down, but it rises, heats up this top piece of the wood, which heats up this enclosure. Why waste the heat when you can reuse it just like this? So that in there is the enclosure complete. We have the food, we have the water, we have the egg crate. Absolutely spot on. We don't need anything else. Sometimes people put sticky tape around the top to stop them crawling up, but Dubia roaches can't climb up smooth surfaces. As you can tell right here. To do this tutorial, I've emptied out this Dubia colony and put them into a pink tub. As you can tell, not one of them can climb. They are not climbing, they're walking all over each other, but they cannot climb. One's just tried to climb and it fell back down. So you really don't need to worry about them climbing out the enclosure. They won't. You can leave the lid off all the time if you really wanted to. It's not a problem. I love the sound of these. It sounds like rain. You're only going to need to clean this out around about once a month. They're really not that smelly either. I have no ventilation in this. There's a bit of a gap on the top just for a little bit of airflow, but that's it. I have no holes drilled in it or anything like that. So nothing can escape, nothing can get out, nothing can get in. It's just a standard live alone Dubia roach colony. You feed them, you water them, you care for them. That's it. Let's get the lid on and move on a little bit. So let's quickly run through how many roaches you're going to need to start your colony. You can have as many as you want, depends how big you want it. These are my adults. Obviously there's a couple of little babies kicking around in there. They're just in there by mistake because I like to separate my babies to let them grow without being trampled on by these big guys. But let's run through the sexes to start with. Right there, guys, is 5 females and a male. The male is the one with the wings that span the entire length of the body. That one that I'm trying to follow now is the male. You can see the difference. There's more females than male. Now that one there is the male. That is a female. That is a male. That is a female. Male. Female. You want in your colony around 5 females to every single male. If you have too many males in your colony, the males are going to start fighting, get really weak from fighting each other, and they're going to die. And it's going to be an unproductive Dubia roach colony. So you want to keep it down to around 5 females to 1 male. Now if you've had the colony for a couple of years and it's producing and producing and producing, and you find that you've got a lot more males than female, start feeding the males off to all your animals. It's all about thinking wisely what you feed to the animals and what you want to do to keep producing. There is no guidance to the temperature that you have this at, because if it does get too hot down the bottom, they will just scurry up to the top. So they're pretty bulletproof, nuclear proof. Did you know Dubia roaches can outlive a nuclear war? You can do a colony this big. This is an 82 litre rub, really useful box, or you can do it small like this. This is the tub that I raise out, or get all of my babies once a month and drop them into here. It's exactly the same scenario. You've got your two food dishes, a water dish, an egg crate stacked up where they can walk around and do their random stuff. That's my babies' enclosure. The only reason I separate the babies is just so I can keep account of what's actually there. Plus my leopard geckos don't eat adult Dubia roaches, they eat the babies. So I keep the babies separate to feed off to them. Shall we add the adults back into the adult enclosure? And they're all just going to scurry around, try and find their right places to go, find their own little homes. The first thing they're going to do is go for some darkness, some cover, because out in the light, they're going to be scared. They're going to be absolutely petrified. So guys, that is how you set up a Dubia roach breeding colony. If you want to learn how to breed Dubia roaches, I've got a video just there. Just click on that. It'll take you straight through to the breed your own Dubia roach colony. If however, you want to learn to breed superworms, click that video. Peace out.